Hello, my loves. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. In this video, I am focusing on my sales on eBay only in the month of July. So the first thing that was sold on eBay in the month of July was an Eileen Fisher t-shirt. This came from a flip flop. It was a little bit pilly, a little bit used up. I was kind of cautious of listing it. Of course, I put that in the listing. But anyways, this sold for $15. The buyer did pay for shipping with it. As you know, with flip-flops, you also have to pay out the client. I set my price at 60%, which ends up being about 50% after platform fees. So, taking approximately half of this $15 for myself. This airy linen blend strappy crop top came from a ThredUp rescue box. It sold for $9. The buyer also did pay for shipping. My cost of goods on the ThredUp rescue boxes are less than $2, but just for, ease of cost of goods, I put it as $2. In my spreadsheet, I do end up putting the exact cost of goods. It's just easier, right off the bat, to just say $2 as my cost of goods. I also sold a loft black crochet top dress. It was kind of like a swing dress. This came from some free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app well over a year ago now. This is somebody that I first connected with through Nextdoor and then went back a couple of times because everything was working out that I was selling. Pretty much anything in my store that is Loft or Next came from this particular person. Definitely been working out for me. This sold for $4. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. If you do not connect with people and tell people what you do in terms of either it's your side hustle or your full-time living, I highly suggest you do. You'd be surprised how many people are just willing to give away their stuff and clean up their closet. It's usually stuff they were wanting to donate to places like Goodwill anyways, and then we were gonna go buy to resell. So kind of just cuts to the chase and gives the inventory directly to us. People are so happy and so excited to be able to support another person and their small business or their kind of little side hustle venture. That's something that I realized for sure. People are such good cheerleaders. At first, I was a little weary kind of by telling people what I've been doing, but I don't know why I was so afraid. People are so excited to support me in all kinds of different ways. This next thing to sell was a J. Crew blue linen blend shirt. This came from a flip flop, so of course, splitting that approximately 50-50. This sold for $5. The buyer did pay for shipping, so roughly $2.50 is what I made off of this in profit. I wouldn't say that's the most exciting sale, as most of these aren't, but these little sales definitely, they add up. And then sold a Loft red-orange tank top. This came from, of course, Loft, that free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. This sold for $11. The buyer also paid for shipping. This Brooks Brothers men's dress shirt came from a flip-flop. It is a flip-flop that I got a whole bunch of Brooks Brothers shirts and I was thinking they would sell, but I realized as I've been listing, there are so many Brooks Brothers button-up shirts on the different platforms, so mine is just, one in thousands of them. So they're not really selling for as much as I was kind of hoping they would. This one sold for $5. The buyer did pay for shipping, but of course that $5 I also had to split. These new with tag Anthropology Blink NYC pleather or fake leather pants came from somebody that I connected through Nextdoor. Again, this one was not free inventory. We decided to split 50-50 profit. It's somebody who is downsizing and they were just cleaning out their closet. They used to, be in the fashion industry, so they are, very much into fashion. I was so appreciative to connect with this person. These pants sold for $51. The buyer also paid for shipping. This actually went on the global shipping program. So if you don't know, on eBay, you could also set your items to where, different people in different countries can purchase your items. You don't have to worry about any kind of transaction, customs, or anything like that. With the global shipping program, the items actually go, I believe it's to Kentucky, and then once they hit the processing warehouse, whatever you want to call it, in Kentucky, they take care of everything for you to make sure they get to the other person. So sometimes the address is a little bit wonky on the specific label because it does go through that process. One thing to note with the global shipping program, no matter how many days you say that your shipping and handling time is, it automatically puts it to same day shipping. So on this piece, I believe I had it set for 3 days because I knew that I was traveling a lot during this month and I knew I would not be able to get to it exactly right away. But because it was global shipping, it was changed to the very same day. Luckily, I was able to ship out on the same day, but had I not been able to, it would have shown as an overdue shipping. Now, people are usually okay with this as long as you communicate if you're not able to ship on the exact date, but it does still put a ding on your account that you are overdue on your shipping. So, the buyer is typically okay, but eBay is not typically okay with that. This Miss Look denim maxi skirt came from that same person that I connected through Nextdoor, in which we are splitting 50-50. This skirt sold for $22. The buyer also did pay for shipping for this. With this buyer, it is a 50-50 split after platform fees. So when I go through Flip, it's a little bit of a different story. I can't necessarily control that I have to eat the platform fees. When I am just connecting with somebody on my own, I can say, okay, it is after platform fees, no matter what platform that it ends up selling on. These Fabletics purple leggings, they were cropped leggings, brand new with tags, came from one of my very first flip lots. These sold for $20.22. The buyer did pay for shipping. Now, I don't know why I started doing this. I think I saw it in somebody else's video, to be honest. And anytime I send an offer on an offers to watchers, I ended in 22 cents. That signals to me that it was something that I sent an offer on. So this was listed, I think, about like $27, $28. And I did go ahead and make that offer to the watchers, and it worked out. This leopard pattern scarf came from a Quick Lots Amazon pallet that I sourced, I think 2 years ago. And my cost of goods on that was roughly 50 cents, but it almost feels like it's free inventory at this point because I have well more than made my money back and then some on this one. So this sold for $6. The buyer did pay for shipping. Again, I definitely made money on this one. I did check if Quick Lots still had the Amazon pallets, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They don't currently have that pallet, so I'm not able to link the information down below or put it here for you like I typically do because, we would be linking to nowhere. This Standard James shirt came from a flip flop. This sold for $20.22. That means I send in offers to watchers. The buyer also did pay for shipping. Of course, then I had to split that cost with my client. You may remember this Nasty Gal shirt if you've been a watcher of mine for a while. This I did wear in a video and somebody actually ended up purchasing it from the link in my description. By the way, I do always link what I'm wearing in the description below. Right now, I am wearing an Alexander McQueen dress that it is for sale in my eBay store. So if you are interested, if you like what I'm wearing, go ahead and check it out down below. Anyway, side note over, this Nasty Gal shirt came from a ThredUp rescue box. It ended up selling for $2.25. The buyer also did pay for shipping. This J. Crew V-neck fuchsia shirt came from a flip flop. This sold for $10.22. Again, sent an offer to watchers. This did also have shipping attached to it, so the buyer did pay for shipping. Now, these two tunics sold to the exact same person. These came from a flip-flop that had a pretty good sell-through rate, so I'm pretty excited to have that one and connect with that person through Flip. These were an Oh My Gosh tunics. These were 100% linen. It seems like that company is all about linen. Together, they sold for $54. Of course, then I had to split with the client. Now, this Squishmallow 10-inch lion actually sold once before, but something happened with the shipping. It was lost in transit. I believe it sold on Poshmark. Poshmark just, sided with both sides. I got my money back for it, and the buyer got to keep their money, or I got my money for it. The buyer got their money back, and it eventually actually made it back to my house. So I decided that I was going to just list it, and if it sold, it sold because I already made money on this item. It ended up selling for $2.90. The buyer was so excited that they got this for such a cheap price. It was something that was pretty bulky that I was happy to get out of my inventory system. And again, I already made money on it. So it was a win-win in all situations. This Misuk jacket and shell set came from the same person that I got the Oh My Gosh tunics from. This sold for $30. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. This Exhilaration elastic waist or cinched waist dress came from a ThredUp rescue box, with my cost of goods being roughly $2 or just under $2. This sold for $2.22, meaning I did put an offer out. The buyer did also pay for shipping for it though. This Zara print, it was like a baby doll long sleeve dress or tunic, came from a flip-flop. This actually sold without the belt, and of course I put this in the listing, but the buyer, I guess, didn't read the listing, didn't view the pictures, what have you. Doesn't matter anyways. It did end up getting returned to me, and it really wasn't an issue because I didn't lose money on this one. Shipping was all taken care of and everything like that, so we were all good. This actually didn't end up selling again, so when the flip-flop was over, I did send it back to the client. This lot of 10 scarves sold for $5.50. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. With some of the free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app, the first person that I connected with through Nextdoor gave me a whole bunch of scarves. If I was living up north somewhere, I would be wearing these like crazy, and I probably would not have sold them. But I live in Florida and I don't get an opportunity to wear scarves all that much, so I decided I just wanted to get them out of my house. I knew they weren't going to sell for very much. That's why I lotted them up. And the buyer was actually very excited to receive these. It was somebody in the Midwest that, obviously is going to be able to enjoy these on the daily, weekly, or whatever. They're going to be able to enjoy them a lot more than I would. This loft gray floral swing dress came from the free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. This sold for $3.25. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. This Gap crisp white kind of crochet dress came from the free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. This sold for $5.01. The buyer also did pay for some shipping for it, but it wasn't enough, so I had to cover just a little bit more. These Nordstrom Abound block heels came from a flip-flop. These sold for $10.22. Notice the 22 cents definitely means it was an offer to watcher. The buyer did pay a little bit for shipping for this. This Hot Wheels Street Racer set, I believe there was 5 in this set, sold for $12.99. That was on an auction. The buyer did not pay for shipping, so it's completely free shipping. Now, this is something that my mom sourced at Walmart. She does service Walmarts at her job, and she noticed a lot of resellers were picking this up, so she went ahead and picked it up. Now, in transit, one of the boxes or boards that come on the back of the cards was a little bit bent, and of course, the person getting this was somebody that was collecting or wanting to resell for a higher price. Probably that's the one, they wanted a reseller for a higher price. So I did end up getting a return on this one. I do now have all of those cars back, and I'm thinking of listing them one by one. I didn't think the one that was a little bent was that bad, but I could see in a collector's eyes where they would want it to be in absolute perfect condition. This Vintage America chambray shirt came from the Nextdoor app, but from the person that I'm splitting 50-50 with. This sold for $10. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. Now, that is my last sale in the month of July on eBay. I will be very soon posting a video of my sales on Mercari in the month of July. If you are interested in viewing that and you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That allows my videos to continue to show up on your homepage and the homepage of others, and allows us to continue to learn and grow together.